Manipulation through advertising. Turn on your volume. You wouldn't want to miss this. From long ago to the present day. While advertising is a commercial solicitation that is a form of communication designed to sell some commodity or service, before we jump into manipulation through the form of advertising, we must first understand where, when, and how advertising first came about. Advertising can be traced back to as far as 4000 BC, where traditional war paintings such as the Indian rock art were first found. 1,000 years pass and it leads us to the Babylonian clay tablets, which had inscriptions of shoemakers, scribes, and even ointment dealers. Another 1,000 years pass and we end up in the Middle Ages, somewhere in Europe. Here, the main form of advertising was the word of mouth and other verbal communications from different social statuses. Or, the most popular form of this was street callers, or better known as town criers. They would go throughout the town yelling and screaming offers from businesses that would pay them. Typically, though, street callers were known throughout Europe, where the ability to read was scarce and hard to retain. In ancient China, recorded in the classical poetry, there were bamboo flute musicians playing on the streets to try to sell candy to the children. However, the first three major forms of advertising before the printing era, these were town criers, hired by businesses, signboards that would appear on the outside of shops, and trademarks or identifying marks where it came from, logos, and creators. However, since the Gutenberg press, printing became easy to come by and advertising popped up more and more. From men and women reading newspapers to posters printed and hung around the shops and walls, advertising became a part of our lives very quickly. From salesmen on the side of the street promoting some health product to finally now where we are bombarded with advertising material found on the web. We can finally start breaking down manipulation and how agencies use tactics to manipulate audiences. Advertising has come a long way, but two men have made a drastic impact in the field of advertising, Leo Burnett and David Ogilvy. Leo Burnett famously said, "If you can't turn yourself into your customer, you probably shouldn't be in the ad writing business." David Ogilvy famously created campaigns for Rolls-Royce, Schweppes, Shell, whilst Leo Burnett famously created Tony the Tiger for Kellogg and the Marlboro Man for Marlboro. However, as from the golden era to all the 1980s to today's time share a big difference. You see, the golden era focuses on agencies telling and showing consumers what they should buy or how they should feel. Before the internet and the lack of trust, consumers were intrigued by authorities. The study of the Stanley Milgram experiment, where participants were told to continually electrocute their victims if they answered wrong. The experiment was conducted after World War II to see if Nazi officers should or shouldn't be blamed for war crimes. It was tested with 40 male subjects that would ask questions to a victim who, if answered incorrectly, would be zapped with electricity, which would give up each incorrect answer, which ranged from 15 to 450 volts. The electricity was faked, and so were the responses to these shocks, which the victim purposely answered incorrectly. The study concluded 65% never stopped giving shocks, none stopped when the victim said he had heart trouble. It was shown that our almost innate behavior is that we should do as told, especially from authority persons. In early years, audiences had time where they could sit and read and be motivated by the ad. Trains took longer. There wasn't many televisions around as it was brand new and very expensive at the time. Newspapers had time to explain themselves and was easy to form trust with customers. Consumers were told what to do, how to behave, and what to believe. Advertisers ruled the world with an iron fist. But now, agencies switched gears from primarily focusing on telling consumers what they want and shifted to new tactics and schemes. In every way possible, campaigns are all about making consumers say yes a little bit louder and yes again. From car salesmen to copywriters to advertisers and graphic designers, tactics are used to persuade and manipulate consumers through tactics which social psychologists have attained through many, many years of research. One of these universal principles, law of reciprocation, it states that when someone does something nice for you, you will have a deep-rooted psychological urge to do something nice in return. As a matter of fact, you may even reciprocate with a gesture far more generous than the original deed. The second tactic, scarcity. This is when there is a greater demand for something than there is a supply of something. These are wanted by consumers as they are limited to make these products more attractive. These could be deadlines given to consumers by advertisers such as sale time, limited time only, or until stocks last. The third law is the law of commitment. It states that you must actually want to manifest what you say you want to manifest in order for it to manifest. For example, you have started a New Year's resolution to avoid cake, so advertising that helps you stay away from cakes will be a good ad. This will speak to the consumer strongly. The fourth principle would also be the law of liking. This law explains that consumers will continually purchase products from a company and brand consumers enjoy or like. A brand that holds a strong fan base will sell more products without the need of posters, as the consumer already invested in the brand. However, psychology states there are two direct ways communication can be persuasive: the central route or the peripheral route. The central route is persuaded by the appearance and is persuaded by a great deal of logic and thought. Peripheral route suggests consumers when the listener decides whether to agree with a message based on the other cues besides the strength of the argument or ideas in the message. Today's advertising is much faster paced and consumers are opened up to a lot more ads than ever before. In the golden era, it was calculated that on average consumers would see 500 ads daily, whilst now it could reach anywhere between 4,500 and 5,000 ads per day. Ads today need to be colorful, needs to stand out, and needs to be quick and easy to read whilst being memorable as well. Color is a very powerful tactic in advertising. By using specific colors, victims can be manipulated in certain ways. Red gives consumers a feel of urgency and is used in food advertising to get consumers hungry. Blue is to create a peaceful ad and is used to calm consumers down. Purple is commonly associated with royalty and luxury. Yellow is used to show happiness and make consumers cheery. Green shows a product to be earthy and natural and is normally very healthy, whilst brown represents safety in a product and reliability. You see, colors help humans see other animals, know if animals could be poisonous. Bright yellow orange frog warns predators it's dangerous. Colors allow advertising quickly make consumers feel a certain way. It's been shown that consumers spend 2 seconds on average per ad. 1.5 seconds was spent on visuals, whilst 0.5 is registered on copy. Colors help pull consumers in and express a message quickly. Even though consumers are ones being manipulated, social ethics are a part of creators. These are different from person to person and affect design directly. Graphic designer Milton Glaser presented a series of moral questions which he called the road to hell. This showed multiple levels of ethical choices where it shows how far designers are willing to go to manipulate customers even if for the wrong reason. Advertising doesn't just manipulate the people who are purchasing the product, but also manipulate the creators who create them. From street callers calling out daily sales to authority requests, tactics and schemes, and finding color manipulation. For multiple manipulation tactics, advertising will continue to evolve and create newer tactics to manipulate the audience and consumers for many more years to come. Finished, written by Thomas Zelte, spoken by Thomas Zelte, and created in Video Scribe.